Kate Mila Falcha. Welcome to me, Irish Granny Helen. Welcome to Nate, the Third Wish. Welcome, Nate.
Oh, hi, Helen. Thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, I look forward to this all week. Now we're just going to laugh for a little while. We all need to, right?
Yes, yes.
Desperately need to. So this is our lighthearted chat is how I've been entitling these videos. I hope people are enjoying them. I don't know. I can't tell.
We should request feedback in the comments, and maybe we'll get a little bit of an idea.
A few people a few people say, "Oh, good. I love it when Nate joins you." Thank you. So do I. I need to laugh. So this is always the highlight. Like I said, I meant that. The highlight of my week. Should we mention before we even get started what you're up to?
Oh, look at you. Well, I was about to bring it up, but I appreciate that you giving me an opportunity. So you see this background right behind me, different ways. This is basically a project of mine that I've been working on. I never really mentioned up to now, but now it's starting to come to life. So this is an Oracle deck. It's not ready for purchase, but if you go on my link or my channel, there's a link tree, and this is one of the links, and you could just simply sign up, and this sign up is free. This is just to know about the project, and it's an oracle deck that has to deal with the voices from the whales. This
And
one,
it's the same
that
artist.
one, and this is done, yes, by Christina Scagliotti, and we're working on this project. There's a book and there's cards, and this is kind of an oracle deck project. So it would have it's very easy to enter the world of the whales, and you would pull a card and it would say, for example, align or rest or retreat or speak up, or it would have some sort of keyword, and then the explanations would be in the book. But I would not use it necessarily for political. It would be more of a personal reading
Personal.
deck, personal. Yeah, so it has a very soft psychological, but it's the illustrations and the themes are the whales. There would be this one, like I don't actually remember which one is that one, but there's some other ones. So
Oh, I think it's probably the halo.
could be, and so then there will be more. So if you want to know more about it, then you can just sign up on the link and it's free.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So it's an oracle deck, and it's personal attributes, characteristics, that kind of thing, emotions. Uh, would you say that you were connecting with the messages of the whales as you were thinking about it and doing it?
Yeah, I've always been connected to the whales myself. Every time I have an opportunity, I try to go on a whale watching tour.
Really?
Yeah, every time I have an opportunity, and particularly those who are very good with um, supporting the environment. So, they have a certain distance to keep away from the whales, no noise, no, I mean, so I look into that before I book the trip. And I prefer to go with a small group, and I mean, it's fascinating. Have you actually been on a whale watching tour?
I haven't needed to.
You
I live.
see
Yeah,
them. Yes.
yeah. I live in the
So,
Pacific Northwest, and so if you live anywhere at all in the Pacific Northwest, there are two things that you're probably going to encounter in your life: whales and Sasquatch.
when I was living on the coast south of San Francisco, I could see whales from my
Yeah,
apartment.
they migrate right up the coast.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you go on a tour, they have like sound systems, sonars, and sound system. And so it goes very far, so they can hear them,
Oh,
and
so
then you direct yourself towards them. It's really, really amazing.
they're so intelligent. You know, I did that book, Encounters, by Dr. Diana Pasulka. She's a religious professor in North Carolina. And she became friends with Jacques Vallée. And the two of them have worked on this notion that mythology, ancient lore, ancient culture, visions, religious visions like Lourdes and Fatima are connected to UFO sightings, that there's something that is a thread in commonality. She, in doing this, became friends with a doctor. I want to say her name is Isa or Isa, and I don't remember her last name. I apologize. She is not American. I can't remember where she's from either. I want to say Russian or Eastern European, Ukrainian. I can't remember. But she works with NASA and with the military fighter pilots and astronauts, designing the insides of cockpits. She does the engineering so that it's the least amount of stress and the greatest safety. But also, she's a psychologist, and she works with the psychology of being in outer space and looking down. It's called, I think, outlook syndrome. You're looking down on the planet. It actually creates this psychological disturbance. William Shatner talked about it. He was up there for an hour and he
Yes, yes,
cries every time he
yes.
talks about it. Yeah. And the other project she has, because she's not busy enough, is she's been collecting data for a long time from every species of animal communication. She's
Oh,
creating a
yes.
language that she's teaching to babies with the long-term hope that someday we humans will be able to communicate with the beings in outer space. However, she talks a lot about the whales and the communication and how sensitive they are and how
Yeah,
moral and intelligent. And yeah,
yeah.
you'll never eat calamari again when you hear her talking about the octopus. I know that it's squid, but related, right? The
And I
octopus
don't.
is
And I
one of the
don't eat.
most intelligent animals on the
Yeah.
planet. Yeah, we won't go there. It's too upsetting. This is supposed to be fun. So you want to talk about animals?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this caught my eye because the photograph in the newspaper was a little chihuahua in a dress that was backlit in profile. It looked like Gloria Swanson or somebody on a podium, and then two others a little lower. And I looked carefully. It was the Pet Expo. This was the top prize for fashion, or I don't know, in Bucharest, Romania. And I thought, boy, my only real knowledge of Romania is the Romans were there, hence Romania. And I actually knew a little girl who was adopted from Romania, from one of those awful orphanages. And
Yes.
she tried to teach me some words in Romanian, and it was like Latin. But
Yeah.
also the poverty, you know. So I looked into this expo. They got 14,500 plus visitors. This is actually merchandising. It's a pet industry. So, you know, collars, leashes, pet food. A lot of veterinary seminars were there, being held there. So the average US single woman spends $743 a year on her pet. The average American single man spends 388. Men don't love their pets enough. The average household in America spends 876 dollars just on stuff, but the average veterinary expense can be as high as $1,500 a year. So I looked, final statement, I looked at the cost of tickets, and I had to do one of those convert the currency thing. And if I looked in two different places, if this currency thing is correct, the tickets translated into American dollars, $2.18. And the pet industry globally brings in $303 billion last year.
Yeah, it's huge.
Unbelievable.
It's huge.
Do you dress your dog?
Oh my gosh, no.
What? Don't shame me.
Well,
I had
I
a little.
mean,
Go ahead.
I the only time that I kind of like personally to see pets dressed up would be for the Halloween parade.
Yeah, that is very funny. Have you ever seen the little dog in the spider costume? It's freaking out the big dog. Oh my God, it's the funniest thing. I had a little Yorkie. Now, Yorkies are horribly expensive. And so I want to make it very clear she was a reject. Her parents were registered prize winners, but the kennel couldn't sell her because she was too big for a Yorkie. They wanted like 3 pounds. She probably
Petite.
weighed
Yeah.
7. She didn't have that beautiful silky coat. It was more cottony, and she was purebred. I mean, she had, if I had bothered to spend the money, which I wouldn't bother, but she just was the reject of the litter. So she was still small, and so I dressed her up. She had a fur coat. It was a fake fur coat. On one side it had the pseudo fur, and because she's a dog. And on the other side there was a Chinese satin print. It was just beautiful, and she had a fake string of pearls. It was fun. She didn't wear them very often. I had
No.
like Christmas hats and stuff. I went through a period of insanity, a little breakdown. I can understand that. I mean, I'd rather see that than some of the awful things. The YouTube algorithm knows I'm a sucker, so I get a lot of dog rescue videos, and I just should not look at them. They haunt me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't dress your dog?
No.
We have to sometimes if we walk and it's really, really,
If it's
really.
cold,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Or even like putting like some sort of mini shoes or socks if it's really bad.
I have some.
Yes.
They wore them once. They just refused.
They don't like. No.
No. But you have to be very careful when you take your dog out in extremes. Even hot weather, they make announcements now. It's too hot. Don't
Not
take your dog
far.
out.
Yes.
It burns their feet. Yeah. So who's your funny story?
Well, I don't know if this is funny, but it's a little bit odd or mind-boggling, so I thought that would be good. So there was a report. I know the story starts like very serious and then changes. So US border and CBP data. So we're like deep into serious stuff.
What's CVP?
CBP, like Customs Border Protection, CBP.
Okay.
Border Protection, US Customs and Border Protection data 2025. So very recent. They seized, is that how you say it? They seized
Yeah.
413 fentanyl drugs. Okay. So meaning, like we heard during the campaign, like the main problem is very serious fentanyl. Oh, but wait a minute. There-
Oh my
There's
God.
something that they intercepted way more, 10 times more.
Oh, I think I know this. Okay, go
What
ahead.
is it?
Well, animals, right?
Not quite.
Oh, okay. What? You're killing me.
This is a major issue. It's a major uptick. Um, in the San Diego field office alone reported a 158% increase since 2024. It's basically a form of smuggling, trying to help Americans bringing products from overseas. And that product is an egg.
Oh my God. Oh
It's
my God. Who
yes, it's
knew?
been reported that there has been 5,572 interceptions of eggs trying to cross the US borders.
Well, the eggs weren't trying.
No. U.S. Customs and Border Protection data shows a major uptick in attempts to bring eggs into the country. No worries, I'm reading from this article. This isn't this isn't some sinister conspiracy.
God.
Most people just didn't realize egg smuggling was even a thing, and we were probably trying to help us egg-starved Americans cope with the crazy high prices. Quoting the article, still, ICE continues following Trump's orders to ramp up deportation, supposedly to get rid of bad people like drug dealers. It looks like the former president, the president might have some egg on his face.
Who wrote
I'm,
this?
it's
Who
from an
wrote it?
article from Now This Impact.
Oh, is that one of those
But
online kind of?
so anyway,
Yeah.
but the data is real. I checked the
Oh,
data, and basically smuggling eggs through the borders is a big deal. Like, let's say you are, let's say in Canada or Mexico, you would just try to bring in your backpack a bunch of eggs. So, you buy them and it's kind of cheaper to get them through.
wow. Wow. I think about when my grandmother would go to Ireland. My grandmother came to live with us when I was little. And periodically she would go back for an extended visit of a month or so. When she returned to our home in California, she would smuggle stuff. She's dead now, so statute of limitations. She would smuggle things like sausages
Oh yeah,
and
people do that all the
Irish
time.
bacon and butter. And I can remember every time she came home, they would pick her up at the LA airport, 2-hour drive back to Santa Barbara. The plane that came from Ireland always came at night. They'd get home in the morning early, and the first thing they did, they had a huge, gigantic breakfast with eggs and bacon and sausage. And my father particularly loved, this is disgusting, blood sausage.
Yes, yes, I
Oh,
could have guessed.
oh God. But yeah, and she would go through customs, and she would
Don't they
laugh
call
about
it?
it.
They call it black pudding.
Black pudding. That's
Pudding.
right. She'd go through customs, and the guys were always really nice to her because she would pretend to be this little old feeble lady and really lay on the accent thick, and they, oh, I just woke up, I was asleep on the plane. Oh, go ahead, ma'am. Meanwhile, she's like a major smuggler, international smuggler. My mother was mortified. This is my mother's mother. My mother was just mortified. One of these days we're going to have to bail you out. No, I read an article this week about animals that were smuggled, and it upset me, so I had to stop
Oh
reading.
no, 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 no. I thought that was just funny because it's just eggs, and it was such a deal with the campaign, and I mean,
Well, we have chickens. We've had chickens for
yeah.
years. In fact, our chickens have been dying of old age. They're pets, they've been dying of old age, and we're down to 2. And my husband last fall said, I'm going to get some chicks in the spring because it's his thing. I don't deal with it. And I reminded him the other day, he said, he called, he's on a list. There's a back order. There's a shortage of chicks
Oh
because
wow.
everybody and his brother now wants to raise chickens. Harsh reality, they don't ovulate until they're very close to a year old, well, 6 months old. And the first sets of eggs that they lay don't even have a hard shell. You can't use them. They're not, and they then, because if you got chicks now, they'd probably start laying end of summer, beginning of fall. And shortly after that, the daylight decreases and they stop laying over the winter.
Oh,
Yeah. So people are in for a rude awakening.
do you have enough eggs with the 2 you have?
They're not laying eggs one a day every day, but we probably get one egg every couple of days. And that's enough for just the two
Okay.
of us. I mean, I don't eat that many eggs, for a long time. We had so many eggs, we didn't know what to do with them. I was giving them away, I was selling them. This is years ago. And then in the past couple of years, we had enough eggs where our box of 18 was always full with a couple of bowls of extra eggs. And then I was giving them to a few neighbors, and we were feeding them to our dogs.
Oh,
They like eggs. Yeah.
yes, they do. You
Not
know,
only eggs, but
a dog that has an upset stomach, give a raw egg, it works like magic.
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'll have to
yeah,
try
raw
that.
egg. If one of your dogs has an upset stomach,
Okay.
raw egg works perfectly.
Okay. We're not giving medical advice.
Oh no, no.
God. Okay, so should we do another one quickly?
That's all I had.
I had a little bit more. Let me see here. Okay, so I thought this was really interesting. Anybody who went to high school probably at one point or another studied Thomas More's book Utopia from 1516. And Utopia was about the perfect community, right? Like the best place you could live.
Mhm.
And we use that word all the time now to talk about a perfect community. And then there was in 1872 Erewhon by Samuel Butler, but Erewhon is nowhere spelled backwards. And then in real life, that was a book. In real life, there was the Oneida community in New York. It was started by John Humphrey Noyes, Noyes. It was a New York religious commune. And if the name Oneida rings a bell, they were an Aboriginal peoples in the area, but they have become synonymous with flatware, knives and forks and spoons that are not silver, you know.
Mhm.
That's how they supported their community. But they were a wild bunch. They were kind of hippies. They believed in complex marriage. You figure out what that means. And complex marriage and silverware. That was their big things. Anyway, I started to look into this. I went down this road because I read this little article about a guy called Mark Lore, who is, I guess, a billionaire. And there's a trend in billionaires building their own escape places, like they're going into abandoned missile silos. And then if they have enough money, they're buying islands and they're taking off to Australia and New Zealand and building compounds. There's this guy called Mark Lore who has this image in his mind of Tolosa, which is his community of the future that's completely driven by tech. So you'd love it. They're going to debut it in the desert.
Am I the tech person, the tech
Well, of
god
the
here?
two of us, I'd have to say yes. You probably are. 2050, they're going to have it ready to go for an equitable, sustainable future. Then there's another one, which is even weirder, called seasteading, like homesteading, only seasteading. It's a floating city. Now, this is a concept. They haven't done it yet. Then there's Bill Gates, because, of course, has a place that he wants to build called Belmont that would be renewable, high-tech, self-driving vehicles. Everybody who lived there would get a self-driving vehicle. Then there's another one by Larry Ellison, who we're supposed to know his name, but it didn't ring a bell.
Oh yeah, Larry Ellison was the ex-CEO of Oracle.
Oracle? I don't know what Oracle is.
Oracle company, like it's a big tech company, big tech company.
What a
At
surprise.
one point, like within the, I mean, like it's a big name, like within Microsoft, Oracle, those are like these kind of same companies.
Well, I'm the person who, not in the far past, had a conversation with my husband that went like this. He said, blah, 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 Bill Gates. And I said, who's Bill Gates? It's about 10 years ago. Okay, so Lanai, the island, the Hawaiian island, Lanai. This guy, Larry Ellison, has got a utopia vision for Lanai. And then finally, Mark Cuban, a rich guy, wants to turn this place he bought. He had a friend who was sick and a millionaire, sick and needed to sell the town he owned called Mustang, Texas. So he bought it for $2 million in 2021. It's 55 miles south of Dallas. It has a population of 23. It includes a mobile home park and an abandoned strip club. And he's toyed with the idea of turning it into a town called Dinosaur, Texas, which would have robots all over it of dinosaurs. But now he says, well, maybe not. What's it like to have so much money that you waste your time with things
I
like that
know.
when people are sleeping on the street? I'm sorry.
Crazy.
That's all you're going to say. I
Yeah,
I
crazy.
want you to deride them a little bit more than that. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I'm speechless.
Yeah. What can you say? Anybody who needs to have an explanation of why this is entirely wrong, go back to square one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Well, that's it. I have one more story, but I'm saving it for the end of our current events.
Yeah, and we're a little pressed on time.
We're very pressed. We're always pressed on time. Stupid time change. Okay. Thank you everybody for watching. And if this was fun, we're going to do current events here pretty soon. Find us behind the
In
paywall.
your membership, yeah. You want to talk about your membership?
Oh, my membership, 99 cents, cheap at half the price.
Like cheaper than a cup of coffee.
Oh, cheaper than a bad cup of coffee. Yeah, definitely. Yes, please join. And the purpose of it is just to provide us with some false sense of anonymity. And that's where I'm putting a lot of more controversial things that we do, except now that I'm on probation until May, the end of May, I'm putting even more provocative things on my Substack, and I apologize. Eventually I'll be moving them back. I just don't want to get an extra, check against me here, because then I'll be out. So, and both of us do card readings, correct?
Yes, we do.
We can talk about it. It's behind the
Oh,
table.
it's okay. Yeah. No, this one is not. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Darn. Birthday cards.
We do cards, and all kinds. For birthdays, for
The
New
big
Year's,
ones.
for some of them, tell stories. And
speaking of cards, the postcards.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Look at my on my what's it called? The public post thing. Look there, and on my YouTube, I made a little tiny video. There's a teacher in Kansas collecting cards from all the states for her first graders, and so everybody send her a postcard from your state, and the address is in my thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yep.
Yeah. All awesome. Right. Now let's get out of here before I say something else I shouldn't say. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nate.
Bye.